Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and we're going to do a little Christmas in July with the Lovely Layers Poinsettia die. First, let's start with our background. I am using the Burlap 3D embossing folder just with some white cardstock. We're going to add a little bit of color to this using some Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to use iced spruce, and I'm going to just gently rub this down the textured part of this background embossing folder, just a little bit of color. I do want it to be light in the background because I want the poinsettia to just be the star of the show here. Now I'm also going to bring in some Fossilized Amber Distress Spritz. I love this. I think it gives off the perfect gold tone. So I'm going to spritz just a little bit of this on the background. Not a ton, just a little bit. Now that that can set aside to dry, I have die cut one of the poinsettias from the Lovely Layer Poinsettia dies, and then I die cut multiple leaves. I think I die cut 5 or 6. I ended up using 5. We're just going to do some really easy ink blending of our flower here. I'm going to start with the outside edges darker. I am using Lumberjack Plaid Distress Oxide ink. And then the areas on the dies that have the embossed detail, that's what I'm going to color on the inside. So some of those areas I left white. You're not even going to see that part because the way these flowers layer on top of each other. So a little bit darker on the outside edges, lighter on the inside. Although I will say the finished project, you don't notice that kind of detail that much. You can see it a little bit on some of the petals, but we're going to add some extra shiny detail to this. So I think that kind of filled in the gaps where I had the lighter ink blending. Here's that final little piece. Then we have our leaves. I'm going to ink blend that with Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide. I am going darker on the outside, lighter on the inside. You do notice that on these leaves, even when we add our little extra glimmery detail. Actually, I have a couple little glimmery details, so you definitely want to hang out to the end of this video to see my second little detail on these flowers and leaves, or this one flower. Everyone's doing Christmas in July, and so we definitely need to do a little bit of that. Now we have our little centerpiece here, and I am going to take that Fossilized Amber Distress Spritz, and I'm going to spray that. Now, if you want this to be brighter, I would say get the Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide, ink blend it first, and then spritz this. I liked it this way. It was very light, and so it worked out perfect for me. So I spritzed that twice, and then I just took my heat tool to let it dry, or to get it to dry a bit quicker. Now that that's done, we can glue our flower together here. And so I love the Lovely Layers. I say this all the time in these videos because they're so beautiful. They're easy to put together. You can really kind of find out where things go, how they lay out together. Makes it super simple to put together. So that's how we're going to lay this out. Let's get some liquid glue. And when I'm doing this, I usually just add the liquid glue to the center of my flower. I don't want my leaves glued down. I want them to be lifted up from each other. It gives it more of a 3D look, which is also why I did ink blend around all of the edges. Let's get our little center flower here. And then we have our little centerpiece that we're going to pop right there. Now, let's add some shimmer to this. In my little spritz box here, I'm using that same Fossilized Amber Distress Spritz. And I'm not going really heavy, but I am going heavier than just a light spray. And I'm going to show you up close. The Fossilized Amber settled into the embossed lines of the leaves and the flower, and it is so pretty. So I had bigger droplets, I guess, and it filled in those lines on the leaves and the flower. Like I just said, I'm repeating myself again, but it turned out so pretty. I love how these turned out. Okay, let's get this put together on our embossed background. I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind my flower here, and I just did a quick layout to kind of see how I wanted all the leaves to go. There's two sizes of leaves. There's a larger and a smaller. I'm going to group a larger and smaller together. And then I will have a smaller one off to the side. I think I die cut 6 of these and ended up only using 5. I do have the sentiment stamp laid out on my card. I like to have my sentiment a lot of times tucked in and around the images, and so I wanted it there for a reference for the leaves here at the bottom, so I could make sure that I have enough room for my sentiment and the leaves just kind of hug that. So in my Misty, I'm going to stamp the sentiment from Heart Be Light stamp set, and I'm using the coordinating die. I'm stamping that with the Lumberjack Plaid Distress Oxide ink. It says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." I'm using the coordinating die to die cut that out. I'm going to tape that in place with some low tack tape and run that through my die cut machine. And of course, I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind this, and then we're going to add an extra little glimmery detail here. So let's get that foam adhesive. So I want to use a little bit of liquid glue and some distress glitter. So I'm adding the liquid glue just to the tips of the flowers and leaves, not even covering the whole thing. And of course, this liquid glue dries clear. So in the photos, you could probably see it better than when I show you here at the end of the video because the glue hadn't dried completely. But once it's dry, after we're going to sprinkle the glitter on while it's wet. Once it's dry, you're going to have this nice kind of frosty glitter edge. It's really low key. It's not super in your face, but you definitely can see it, and it looks so pretty, especially when it's dry. So it won't look white when I show you here like it is right now, just because the glue has not dried completely. But again, once it's done, you just see this nice soft glitter. So again, that glue is going to dry, but this turned out so pretty. I love that textured background. I love the colors of everything. And I think this is just a fun, quick, easy way to make a Christmas card. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.